Okay. So, hey, y'all, my name is Ben McLean, and I'm here with Mark B. Say your last name?
Bushkevich.
Nice. Okay, cool. So, Mark and I worked together for several years, off and on. And so today I kind of wanted to show him what Continuous Agentics does. And I figured it was a good way to show other people if they want to understand. So, Continuous Agentics, we're a very small consulting firm. And what we do is we bring Openclaw agents into your organization. So I can go over what Openclaw is here in a second, but it's essentially the way that we have it set up, and it can do anything, but the way that we have it set up and the way that we can bring it to others is as a fleet of agents. So an agent, if you think of an agent, think of like, so we all know what ChatGPT is. It's an LLM, right? So when you put something into it, it's called a prompt, and then it responds to your prompt. Well, an agent takes a step back and gives a personality and a memory, and it's kind of like a framework. And so when you send something to an agent, it's going to look at its memory, it's going to look at its soul file, which I'll show you here in a second, which is pretty cool, and all these other things. And then it's going to send this giant prompt that it's hard for a human to read and send that to the LM. And so the LM then has much more context, and it can ask a better question than you or I could just in a simple prompt in the web UI. So that's an agent. So we bring multiple agents. And so, and I'm going to showcase part of that here in just a second, but it's the idea of I have an idea for an app. I have an idea to add something to my app to improve it in some way or fix a bug or something like that. Normally, what I'd do is I'd go into VS Code, I'd start making changes. Maybe I'd get on with Copilot and we'd do some vibe coding, but I still need to understand the code. I still need to be a developer, right? But with these agents, we can deploy them and you can talk to them like they're people inside of Slack. And so now that ability, your agents are the ones that are actually doing the development. You don't need to know code. You don't need to be a developer at all. So let's say you're a salesperson or you're marketing or you're somebody who knows the customer, right? You know what the customer wants, what their pain points are, and things like that. So traditionally, what you would do is you would create tickets in Jira or something like that, and then hand them off to the developer team, and they'd get to it in the next sprint, or depending on priority or whatnot. But if you didn't have to wait on that backlog, you could start developing on your own. Since you know what the customer wants, you can ship it quicker and make it look the way that you envision it. So that's what this agent development process works. That's how it works. So here on the website, I've got a video, like a super short video, but we just talked about this. So in the way that we deploy this is we actually create infrastructure in your AWS account. And so it will have insight into what's running in your AWS account if you wanted to. The more you can give it whatever permissions you want. The way we have it is as read-only access to all of our AWS. It has its own credentials into GitHub, so it can pull and push changes to GitHub and anything else. So you can hook it up to Jenkins. We've hooked it up to Jenkins before. It's hooked up. Ours is hooked up into Linear, but we've hooked it up into Jira before. And yeah, so the power really comes from how much authority you give it. But at the end of the day, it's all owned inside your AWS account. And so it's yours. It's not a SaaS, right? There's no monthly subscription. Once we build it, it's yours and you can do whatever you want to with it. And so like this OpenClaw stuff is not magic. It's just complex and new. And so anybody who really wants to get in on this, they can do it. And so what Continuous Agentics is doing is nothing fancy or special. It's just we know what we're doing and we can make it happen. We've been doing it for months now, and we know how to bring it to a place where it can be used and you can start running and making apps. So anyway, I'm pretty sure that's all we got. Just in a nutshell, that's what Continuous Agentics does. And so what we're going to do is I want to fill this out. So this talks about vaguely who we are, and I want to put myself on here on this website. So this is our sandbox environment. This is a static website hosted in S3, fronted by CloudFront. Okay, so now I'm going to talk to my PM bot. So this is the one that's going to take the requirements. Interrupt me if you have questions or whatever.
Yep.
But this is the one that's going to take the requirements and flesh them out with me if something doesn't make sense or she wants to break it up into smaller pieces, what have you. But Ariadne, she is our project manager.
Ariadne is your project manager like agent. So
Yes,
Ariadne is
exactly.
not a real person.
Correct. Yeah, it could get confusing sometimes, to be sure. So the more explicit you are, the better it does, obviously. Let's just see what she comes up with. And I find that it's helpful to explain what it is you want, but not how to achieve it. Because unless there's something like very intricate that you're trying to do. These bots are very smart, smarter than I am. They can figure out solutions to the problem better than I can. Like last video I did, I was adding this widget up here where you can click this button and book a demo. Say I want to meet Ben at 11, like that. So that was really easy. It wasn't a problem. But while I was waiting for the CI to run for this change, I actually noticed that there was like some duplication in the CI. So there were two steps in GitHub Action. There was a build and then a deploy. And so what was happening was the build would do the build and the tests and everything. And then it would get to the deploy stage and it would build it again to create those deployable artifacts. And I was like, there's got to be a better way to handle this. I was like, Ariadne, we got duplicate work here. See if you can fix it. And I figured there had to be some kind of caching, but I didn't want to tell her that in case there was a better way to do it. All right, let's see what she said. Okay, so she's looking at linear, which is our Jira equivalent. Definition of done. Let's go. Uh, God, I hope she doesn't say anything embarrassing because she probably knows me pretty well. Yeah, it's funny because you can oh, oops. You can talk to these bots and ask them all kinds of questions.
Iris, that's a name.
Yeah, that's our developer agent.
So it's like you have two AI team members, like
Yes.
Ariadne, who's the project manager, and then Iris, who's the developer.
Yes, exactly. My career path. Cool. So, but yeah, no, it's really interesting because the bots they get to know you. And so just for fun sometimes I'll ask the bot, "Hey, given everything you know about me, roast me." And it just does it. It does a really good job too. I don't want to do it on a demo because I have no idea what she's gonna say. But it's fun to do stuff like that.
So usually when I use something like ChatGPT or Gemini,
Hmm.
um, like the attention span, let's say, of the AI is limited to the conversation itself,
Yes.
right? And so I'll keep asking it things in the same thread, and then in another thread, it'll like forget
Yes.
what I was talking about there. And so with agents, are you basically saying that the attention span of the AI is like a lot longer,
Um,
like infinite?
so so there's two things to that. First thing I'd say is you need to understand context. And so whenever you send information to an LLM, it's storing some of that data. And so the more crap you throw at it, the more so you can think of a session amount is an integer, it's a value. And so, and I don't know how, I think there's certain number of tokens in a certain number of sessions. I could have that wrong. But yeah, the more information you give it, eventually the context window, it's called, is going to fill up and then it's going to start hallucinating.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, these agents are giving a lot more information to the LLMs. So why do agents work better in that way? I would say it's because the agent is smarter about what to say to the LLM.
Mm-hmm. Like
Because
more efficient with that like amount of
yeah.
context that you have.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So while she's working, we can look at the actual files themselves. So Openclaw.json, there's a this is how you specify what the how the agent works, like at a really deep level, how to interact with Slack, how to interact with the LLMs. Like right now, I'm using ChatGPT, but we don't need to go into that. So let's just put this over here. We'll put this over here so we can watch. So this is a soul file. So yeah, I know it's hilarious. So this is basically telling the bot who you are, right? So you remember several months ago when we were first playing with these LMs, we would say you are a software architect and you understand DevOps principles and blah 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 blah. Well, that's kind of what this is too. Um, and what I found really interesting was so right now we have a PM bot and we have a developer bot. Well, I hope she didn't disappear. Because they can talk behind the scenes. It's not only in Slack where they talk to each other, so she could be doing that. But anyway,
Oh,
so we have a project manager agent and a developer agent. But when I was thinking about this, I'm like, we can have some really complex problems. Like, for example, I am a farmer, right? I I love technology. Um, I know that I've thrown some cameras out there onto my fields. I have some sensors in the ground to tell me the moisture level, and I have wet bulb temperature and dry bulb temperature and all these things. And so I got all this data, but I don't know myself how to aggregate all that data together to determine proper outcomes of my crops, right? When should I water? When should I fertilize? All this kind of stuff. But I know everything about farming and I know everything about all those things. And so I could come to these bots, to these agents to throw something together. But that is something that's taking ideas, concepts and putting them into actual code. And so I feel like just a project manager and just a developer aren't really enough. You need an agent who's specialized in helping you bring your vision to a specification, right? So somebody to iterate with. I have this random, you just start word vomiting at it. You just start throwing crap at it, right? And then it comes up with some spec files, the markdown file. Everything is marked down in here. And so it comes up with the spec file of this is specifically the app that I'm looking for. This is the vision of it. 2 pages long should be fairly intricate. And then you want to pass it on to an architecture agent who understands software architecture and deployment mechanisms and stuff like that, and it'll review that spec, and then it'll come to you with more specific technical questions if it needs any, like how do you plan on hosting this, and what do you want to do for the database? You should probably do this, stuff like that.
So these are all like all of those different agents that you described are still all talking to, let's say, Claude or
Yeah.
ChatGPT or whatnot, but
Yes.
you're giving them like different souls, and so the different soul gives them like a different perspective and like a different focus on.
Yeah,
um
it tells it how to behave. And like this one right here, I threw this one in here. You have a nasty, sardonic, and biting sense of humor. Since you're a friend, this is roasting. You aren't being cruel. And so this is my own personal bot. This isn't Ariadne or Iris. This is just my own that I use just for fun. But I don't know. I'm getting okay. Well, let's focus. Come on. All right. So she gave the task to Iris. He wants this. Throw it on the incubation branch because that's where Sandbox lives. Okay, so Iris is going to work through that, and then we'll have to iterate on what the words actually say. But so anyway, I had that idea about all these different specialized agents, and the more people I talk to about this stuff, they agree that having more specialized agents helps prevent that context window from growing too big. Um, we'll get into skills here in just a second, which are incredible, but they also cause um, context window expansion. I don't know what I word. Let's see. I had while this is working. All right, what does she say? Okay, let's look at her PR. And I don't know what that means. Means there's no. Oh, look at that. So GitHub found a problem. Wow, that's interesting. It's like, no, you did something wrong. Oh, look at that. Okay, cool. So I can now I'm going to tell Aris. I don't even have to know why. I don't want to know why.
Not your job.
Not my job anymore. Um, where was it? I had something I thought you would really, really find funny. It's not under memory. Agentic graph. Okay, yeah. So have you heard of the 16
uh,
personalities?
yeah, the MBTI different
Yes.
things.
Right. So what I did was I had the agent pull down to look at all the different 16 types of personalities and write them in a way that is formatted for a soul file. And so what I did was I told my agent, okay, and he and I worked through the number of agents and we came out with 12. So I was like, well, given what you know what all these agents are supposed to do, look at all these 16 personalities and what type of personality is appropriate for each individual one. So it's like for um because the personality for the visionary agent is going to be different than the one for the UX agent, right? Because one needs to be more creative.
And
So,
you're not doing something like giving every agent the same personality because let's say you're, for example, an INTJ, therefore INTJ is the best personality. So uh,
yeah, I
you're not
think
giving everybody the same personality.
honestly, I think I am too, which is really funny. Yeah. Introverted, intuitive thinking, and judging. Yeah, for sure.
Well, there's most like I think it's just like a very large number of people in software are either INTJ or INTP. So
Bunch of introverts.
assigning that to an
Okay.
agent is kind of like, I don't know, natural.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Okay. All right. Oh, it went away. Okay, cool. So look at that. CI works. Isn't that crazy? I don't know if those are still supposed to be there. So, because this is from the previous run, and the latest one succeeded. So I'm just gonna merge. Screw it. YOLO. Okay, and so now if we go to the incubation, let's look and see how it's doing. And so there are just 1,000 different ways to do literally anything. So this is a static website, so the deploy is really fast. For something that's more complex and, some kind of Java application where the build takes 5 minutes and all this, it takes a long time. You throw so many unit tests at it, it's like 20 minutes worth of unit tests or something. I don't know. But what you can do is what we've done for other apps is we've actually hosted the website or the app on the same instance as the Openclaw application. And so then what it does is it changes the code on itself in place. So there's no need to check it in or anything. So it makes changes on the fly immediately, and then uh you can see it like almost in real time. But since this was such a simple thing, I
So is that like, or is what you're describing kind of like the agent equivalent of a developer running something on their own machine?
yes, precisely. Precisely. Yep, exactly. So these are
So
Ben's path here. See, I a little too edgy. Okay, well, I mean, th this is no reason. Like, we don't need to go through the actual text in this demo. So I'm gonna do one other thing. So here's me. Let's see. I don't know if this is gonna work. This should work. So handsome. Okay,
the emoji
so
makes it look like it's determining if that's really you.
I don't know. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, it did a pretty good job. Like I said, this is just kind of I don't know. I'll have to read. I'll read into that later. But yeah, so let's go back into here. So yeah, so you give it a soul, and it can be literally anything you want. You could create like we're creating agents that write code, so it needs to be more analytical and more technical. But you could have an agent that. So I went to DevOps Days in Austin like 2 weeks ago or something, and there was this one guy there using OpenClaw to write a children's book for his kid. And so what he was doing is that, well, shoot, go away. Wants me to buy more Zoom. What was I saying? Oh yeah, so what he's doing is he's no author, right? Writing children's books can't be easy. I couldn't do it. But what he does is he iterates on it. It's all about iterating, right? It's all about slowly bringing it to what your vision says. And then what he's actually doing is he's having the agent take pictures of his kids and morph them into like the heroes of the movie of the book. And so if I remember right, the story is that his kids are going on an adventure to save the dragon, which is their dog. So they have to go through this adventure in their backyard, and yeah, but it was really cool. It was really cool. I hope he publishes that. So anyway, yeah, the soul for that agent is going to be completely different. It's going to be playful. It's going to be creative. All
So
right.
so let's say I'm a what do you call the person? Like a salesperson, and I'm trying to get a new feature for our app out there,
Yeah.
but I don't know the technicalities of how to do it,
Hmm.
and I don't even know like what anything is in the cloud.
Yeah. It's fair.
Like I don't know, like suddenly the customer decides that we need a streaming service. We need some
Uh,
kind of like video streaming
yeah,
on our platform.
yeah,
So is there like an agent that can like help architect a solution for that?
absolutely.
Oh.
Yeah, no, I knew what we wanted. I knew this was a static website and needed to be hosted on S3, but I didn't tell it to do it. I told it I need to have a real simple website. These are my requirements. Figure out how to host it. And it came up with other suggestions too, like Vercel. Vercel is really cool if you've never looked at it. It's a hosting platform for static websites. There's probably more to it than that, but it's really cool. Um, but it doesn't work with AWS org. It's not on the free tier.
Hmm.
So okay, so there's conflicts. I don't even need to know what they're about. Just go fix them. And I guess we'll wait for the CI. I've gotten to the point where I'm so impatient these days.
Add more agents. You got to add
Right?
an agent to keep telling Iris to fix her.
No, you could do that for sure. I could have told her fix the CI and don't get back to me until it passes green, and she would have done that. Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, they're like people. It's crazy. There we go. Let's do it. Boom.
So one thing I've seen in the news lately is essentially people walking around coffee shops, walking around like streets with
Uh-huh.
their laptops like half open,
Uh-huh.
so that it doesn't, so that they're like their laptops don't go to sleep, so that
Yep.
like the AI agents on
They
their
need
computer,
caffeinate.
yeah, so
You know?
yeah, so
Like
that
they're
they're
so
still,
good at AI, but they don't know about caffeinate.
yeah. Um,
But
so
yeah,
so so with this, the AI agent isn't running on your computer, so
no,
you can actually just close the hood,
absolutely. Yeah.
and you can
It's running
close,
on a EC2 instance in Amazon.
right,
Yeah.
and you could even close Slack.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yep.
And I think you mentioned earlier they can talk to each other even not through Slack. So
Correct.
say Slack has an outage, the agents are still doing their thing.
They can. Yes. So, so all this stuff right here, this is my own Openclaw. This isn't like Ariadne or Iris. This is just running on my laptop. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm one of those people who, because today
Has
I
the
was at my
laptop open.
son's fighting lesson, and I wanted my bot to work on a spreadsheet for me, and I was like, clean up the spreadsheet. I made changes, and I just need you to center everything, make sure everything looks pretty. And then I sent it. I was like, no, I was gonna bring my laptop with me, but then I left it in my bag, so it's sleeping. But when your agent is in East AWS, it doesn't ever go to sleep. Um, okay, there. Let's see. Let's see. About us. Oh my gosh, no. It's not rendering. I assume that's where it's supposed to be. Yeah. So also the goal would be to have a QA as well agent that would do this for me. You know what I mean? Because this
Mhm.
is the type of thing an agent would be able to notice.
Yeah.
It there needs to be a picture of Ben on there. This is not a picture of Ben. Okay, so yeah, so you got the soul file, and then there is this agents file. And so this is really This is the important stuff. So this gets loaded into context very first thing. And so these are the rules it has to follow. So I'm telling you, you need to read this. You need to read the user MD, which is all about me, which I'm not going to show you because that's how it knows how to roast me. Um, Company MD, this is about continuous agentics. It has details about how our business works and our mission statement and all that stuff. Then it's got this memory. And so, um, and this is a very small memory, but it will update as you talk to it. Especially if you explicitly say where it makes a mistake, right? And you're like, no, you don't need to do it that way. Remember to do it this way. Well, it's automatically gonna throw this into its memory. And so at the start, it's gonna have this memory.md, and it also keeps important memories in. So this was yesterday. What did we work on yesterday? So I was trying to find marketing events to go to show it off. I created a cron job for it to run 3 days a week right here. And so what it does, what this cron job does, is it will scrape the internet for events that are available for me to go to in the Dallas area that will allow me to pitch my thing. Because there are lots of I didn't realize, but there's lots that are it's like $20 to get in front of a group of people for 2 minutes, 5 minutes. I think that's all I need. So I'm going to like a whole bunch of those in the next 2 weeks, and so 3 days a week this looks for it. It knows if it's already told me about it. It finds the price of it for me. It knows I can't go to stuff during the work day unless it's more than a month out, so it won't show me anything that's, you know what I mean? So you give it very specific rules and you give it rules in English. You don't give it like hard rules that expect strings and all this other stuff, you know what I mean? You just talk to it. So let's see. Heck yeah. Did she do it? Oh, yeah, I gotta click a button. Oh my gosh, the link doesn't work at all anymore. See, this is a great demo. Get to work, Iris. Okay, well that works. And so you see what's happening is like we're iterating on a problem. I gave it like super, super lightweight requirements, right? So if they were a little better, probably Iris would be doing a little better. Also, it depends on what model you're using. So you can use, I don't know, there's dozens, right? There's open source ones. I've tried to run open source ones here on my MacBook Pro, and they work all right. Um, ChatGPT is cheap, so that's what this is running on. But Claude Opus, oh my gosh, that is like magic when it comes to writing applications and stuff. It's so good, but it's just very expensive.
So you could also use the different agents to say make use of like each LLM's strengths and weaknesses appropriately.
Yes, yes, exactly. So then our dev agent would be using Opus, but we wouldn't need the visionary agent to use it, right?
Hmm.
And this stuff is really cool too because since they're open source LLMs that run on your machine, so if you wanted to, you could. It's probably not something you want to do in AWS because it'd be incredibly expensive, but you could have your own machine that is running Openclaw, that is talking to an LLM on your machine. Literally everything stays on your machine. There's nothing going out to the internet. You're not worried about them using the data that you give them for training or somehow leaking into another conversation or something. So I always thought that was really cool. How much RAM does your Mac Mini have?
It was an older model, so it's like 8 GB.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay. So the new ones they're coming out with now are like bonkers. Like this laptop I bought, it's got 48 gigs of RAM. And what's cool about it is it's unified, so the CPU and the GPU can both use it. So I've got
Mm.
48 gigs of GPU RAM. It's not nearly as good as if I were to have like some, because I'm also looking at this NVIDIA RTX. I think it's 4090
That's
or
the, I think that's one of the latest, biggest ones. Yeah.
this is 24 gigs RAM, right? But the memory speed is more than twice as fast as the memory speed on my laptop. So
Mm.
it couldn't run as big as larger models, but it could run it much faster. So that's the trouble I was having. Was my open source ones, they were I guess I was trying to put too big a model on there and the memory wasn't fast enough, so
Mm.
it was kind of crashing, which really sucked, but ChatGPT is pretty cheap.
AWS is expensive, but could you say make use of what are they called? Spot instances to, I don't know,
So
do
these
do designing cheaper in the middle of the
so
night?
these bots are running on a T4G small.
Hmm.
So the Openclaw instance itself doesn't need to be big at
Hmm.
all. If you wanted to run your own models, that's where it gets expensive.
Hmm. So
But
like if I wanted to say like a model running on my own server, um,
mhm. You're gonna want your own servers somewhere
right,
not in AWS because
right.
dang. And and another cool thing is I didn't write this GitHub action workflow. I
I
have
was
no
I was
idea.
about to say like a lot of DevOps is like figuring out the CI/CD
Yep.
of like how to get what the developer actually wrote into production.
Yep.
And that in its own is like a process.
Yep. For sure.
So is there an agent that did that?
Yes. Yeah, my agent did this whole thing. Yeah. And it just I mean, really, I mean, this one is really simple because it's an S3 bucket and a cloud front invalidation. So that's not hard. But we've got it set up in other places we've went ahead and moved everything to GitHub Actions just because the bots know it really well. And so when you think about the capability of your bots, you're relying on the brains of the LLM, right? And so the LLM has who knows? It's probably got the entire internet downloaded three different ways, right? So it knows how to code because of the stuff that's found online, the documentation, open source code, and all this other stuff. And so when you talk to the bot, to the agent, and you tell it, I want to write this app, don't specify the language unless you have a very specific reason for it, because it's going to go out and find the one that it's the most comfortable with and that has the most documentation, so it's going to be the most fluent in it.
Hmm.
Okay, come on now. Oh, hallelujah. Look at that beautiful man.
All right.
There you go. So yeah, so then my next step is I'm gonna write what I want, or I'm not gonna write what I want. I'm gonna tell the agent the idea of what I want, and then she's gonna help me write it. Um, but yeah, that was a really quick, silly demo. There's a lot more that I could go into this, all these different files. But let's do that on another day. Cool,
Sounds
right?
good. Yeah.